Before learning about infrastructure as code, let's see what is exactly an infrastructure means. An infrastructure could be some tools that would require to exactly deploy your application on a cloud. That would be exactly an infrastructure, right? Like cloud providers could be infrastructure, and maybe some other tools like CI/CD and all could be your infrastructure. But okay, now what? What the hell is IAC? Why do we need it? To understand it, we have to know like how we used to deploy an app traditionally before cloud provider. So there used to be a way like you as a person, as a developer, used to go to a data center, and there used to be a person that would deploy a application on data center, right? And you go to the data center and ask, can you please deploy my application on the data center? Can you please deploy it? He said, okay, I can deploy it. He deploys your application, you come back home, and suddenly application crashes. Then you'll go to the data center again and ask, hey, can you please check my application? It crashes again, or it crashes. He said, okay, I'll check it. He checks, he fixes it, and he say, okay, this is working now. You come back to your home again, and suddenly it crashes again because of crowd, because of the traffic. And you can see there are a lot of physical effort going on to deploy an application, right? So this hassle is solved by cloud provider. So cloud provider actually solve this effort, physical hassle. Cloud provider says, hey, this is our machine. You as a person from your home can rent our machine once and deploy anything and from everywhere and anytime. Actually, this is like awesome. We don't need to go to the data center again and again and need to ask a person, hey, can you deploy? Can you deploy? This is it, right? And very great technique, right? Cool. Okay, this is sorted. We are sorted now. We can rent a machine and deploy uh, our next is application maybe. We can rent a machine, we can access into the machine, we can clone our repo, we can set up Nginx PM2 and run the machine, run the app, right? Cool. If you have noticed, there is also a manual effort here. We have to go to console, Amazon console, GCP, Azure, and spin up a machine. We have to create a PEM file. We need to SSS into the machine. We need to clone the repo. What if we can automate this somehow, right? This is what IAC does. IAC means infrastructure as code. Infrastructure as code is exactly writing down all these steps in a configuration file, right? See how IAC tools are categorized. So there are two types of IAC tool. One is cloud specific, which is basically specific to a cloud like AWS, Azure, and GCP. These kind of tools supports only the cloud, which only one cloud, which is specific to the cloud provider, right? So this tool is supports only AWS, and this supports only Azure, right? And the cloud agnostic tool, which is kind of popular, which supports multiple clouds, or you can say almost all clouds, like Terraform, OpenTofu, which is a open source version of Terraform, you can say. Yeah, we will learn about these kind of IC tool and specifically Terraform now. So basically, to create a Terraform configuration file, we just need to create a main.tf file and define everything in this file, right? So before doing anything or before writing anything, let's see what are the core concept of Terraform. These are the core concept of Terraform that we need to learn. And yeah, the first is provider. So provider are nothing but you can say cloud provider which Terraform supports, uh, right? So yeah, these are the providers, AWS and Azure. We will be using AWS provider. So yeah, to use this is just a simple that like using the provider, we will be able to spin up EC2, EKS, ECT, I mean ECS, and S3 and all. So this provider is nothing but to interact with the AWS services. So yeah, if you want to use a provider, you can click over here and copy everything and paste it in your main.tf file. By pasting it, we are telling Terraform that we need AWS provider, this version, and from here. And here we can have region and access keys and secret keys and all, right? That we will need to, that we will be using when we deploy our application, right? Cool. So this is this provider, and the resources is again a service that provider interacts with, right? So resources is nothing but a service that provider interacts with. Okay, HCL language is nothing but this language which Terraform uses to define the configuration. State management that we will cover later. Variable and output and modules. Okay, so before doing anything, so let's go ahead and init a Terraform workspace. Now we have only a file. We didn't init a workspace actually. So yeah, let's init a Terraform workspace. This will init the Terraform workspace, and it is actually installing everything that we have defined in the configuration. So it will take a while. Let's wait. Okay, so you also have init the workspace, right? So you will see this file. You don't need to worry about it for now. Cool. Now let me give you a good idea about what is provider and what is resources. Provider, provider Haji. Provider is nothing but choosing the cloud service or provider. Yeah, this is weird, but yeah, this is actually meaning. Provider is nothing but choosing the cloud provider. What we are doing over here, we are actually choosing the provider now. We are telling that, hey, required provider is AWS and the provider is this. So provider is nothing but choosing the provider or the cloud that will be using to in our infrastructure, right? This is just this is the definition of provider. That's it. And yeah, for now that's it. But yeah, let's see what is resource. Let's first understand resource. So okay, as a developer, I am a developer. I will go to EC2. That means I am choosing EC2. I am choosing AWS provider. I am choosing AWS cloud. Okay, and then what I will do, I will choose a service, and that is a resource. And provider is choosing a cloud, that is AWS. It is that simple, right? Now, what would be the provider over here? Provider is nothing, just a service. Could be AWS instance, instance, and the name could be, let's say, 100x dev server. So this is our cloud, and this is our service, which is a AWS instance. Is it that simple? Yes, this is that. Cool. Yes. Now this is just this is what I was just explaining to you, and let me go to the core concept. We have covered this, and this is just that simple,